Wife cheated with coworker, so I divorced her. Now I'm enjoying life. Meanwhile, she's struggling as a single mom and crying about the divorce. Hi everyone. TLDR 13 years together, 9 years married, 2 kids aged 6 and 3, wife cheated twice with a coworker, confessed, I had no clue something was going on. I did the pick me dance for 2 months, and I caught an evidence of her going back for a third time, one day after Father's Day, France. I confronted her, terminated the relationship, lawyer, and now we are talking agreement. My situation, freelance technician for audiovisual, TV, corporate, concerts, comedy shows, fashion. My schedule is very messy. We've been separated 1 month, and I had a hard time staying no contact. Tonight I broke no contact because I came back from my parents who live 300 km away. I took some time with my kids. We still share the same apartment, even though when she's here I go away and she does too, except when I really can't. So when I was unpacking my kids' things, I couldn't refrain. How are things doing with AP? Not very smart, is it? Well, she didn't look good. She has lost a lot of weight, so did I. News on the front are, the company she's working for is going bankrupt, so she's found another job somewhere else but less paid, $3,000 a year. She, apparently, is not with AP anymore because he betrayed her and told a lot of people, so now she can't work in her field as she has the etiquette, and it's a small world she's working in. Her friends won't talk to her now, at least for a bit of time, because she hasn't been a good friend lately. She smokes 2 packs a day. Her brother won't talk to her for some time because she borrowed money for the holidays. I'm not paying anymore, except she said it was for the holidays, but she lied to him. She needed money to give me back 2,000 euros she stole from a saving account I asked her to get, to invest some of my parents' money. She made a Tinder account, which is none of my business, and says now she can really be a S-word. Every detail has been narrated crying. I feel stuck in a maze for the custody. I want to make it 50-50, but my job is quite difficult to make it work. She wants to have custody of the kids with free visiting whenever I want. Because according to her she has done her life, and want to take care of the kids cause it's all she have left. I feel like she has lost her mind. I feel that I'm gonna either have to work all the time to pay for pension, or pay for someone to come home when I can't. My parents and brother are far away, and I can't ask them to come every 2 weeks even for a day or two. And I really want to raise my children. The situation is really stressful right now. I'm under anxiolytics to help me sleep and shut down my brain. I run 3 times a week, eat as healthy as I can, lost 14 kilograms in 3 months, vent with friends and family. Now she's throwing self-pity at me, and she doesn't even want our relationship back, and I wouldn't. But this is hard. I'm scared for the kids. I know she's a good mom because she has been so far, even though we have different views on education. I feel in a loop. The amount of stress is a lot. Thanks for any advice. Comments, Libratron, you're still thinking of her as your wife and partner, which is why you're having a hard time making the correct decision. You should not give a hoot about her emotional manipulative nonsense. Consult with your lawyer and reach out to friends and family, so that you can get a more objective perspective on what it would be the proper course of action for you and your kids. Her issues are for her to deal with at this point, not your circus, not your monkeys. I know it is hard, because one can't just turn off their feelings/care for a person, who once had an important role in your life. But the marriage is over, and she did a lot of damage to cause that ending. As such, now you must establish proper boundaries and prioritize your interests and what it is best for your kids. She sounds like she's not remotely stable to even be considered for 50-50, much less full custody. She's clearly out of her rocker demanding that. 33 Say what? 33, a good mom doesn't smoke 2 packs a day around her children. She's spiraling. Tell her she can be better than this. Have her start walking a lot. See a doctor for checkup. Saving her from herself is in your best interest. Help her to help your kids. Isn't better to divorce her when she has a job? Maybe tell attorney to pause the process for now? Tell her get your life and health on track and I'll divorce you ASAP. Update 1. Today she's gone with our kids for her week of holidays. D-Day 1. 24th April she confessed her affair. I pick me danced, did everything to fix things. D-Day 2. 21st of June she cheated again and I discovered it and asked for divorce. Married, 2 kids aged 6 and 3, an apartment we can't sell before a year and a half. 1 month separated, we alternate in the apartment. Can't do much before the divorce is official. Today hurts as hell. I'm 37M, left alone in our apartment as she's 35F, gone on her week of holidays. We were supposed to go together. That time of year, summer holidays, riding bikes, going to the sun, playing with kids. I'm feeling devastated and it feels so unreal. I went to my IC, did some paperwork, some walking. Tonight I'll be eating with a friend at a restaurant, and I tried to load my agenda for this weekend. But I have too much time alone. Everyone is on vacation. On Monday I'm going to my parents in Normandy. I feel like I'm going back as a child who wants to cry with his mom. But I'm looking forward to it. It hurts. It really does. I've got so much cognitive dissonance right now. I've even considered the "what if she wants me back" we texted yesterday. I know I shouldn't. She's not with AP anymore. He played her. She's terrified going alone 1 week with our kids in a mobile home in the south of France. But I guess these are the consequences. I have the second week with my kids, and thank God my parents and my niece will be with me. I can't wrap my head around what's going on. I mean, I do fully understand what's at play here, but PFFF, I'm doing what's recommended. Chump Lady's book, her blog, IC, exercise, eat healthy, surround myself with love of friends and family. Talk openly about it. I cry. I haven't journaled yet, but I will. I feel like I told the story a million times and yet it's not understandable. I try to call my friends and family whenever I feel the despair. Sometimes I don't even know what to say. I just don't want. I had everything. We had everything. I went through my hate and anger phase at the beginning. Now it's sadness, despair, avoid. Good news is I still manage to get up, wash, shave, take care of my kids, put some perfume, dress nicely, work. But I have no dream. No purpose apart from my kids. I'm a sound engineer and audiovisual. Passionate about music, a drummer, I play guitar, bass. I love cinema, series concerts. I love people. I have no connection to any of these at the moment. I have zero libido, which is cruel because I'm the kind who likes to eat, sleep, take good times, have sex, masturbate. Epicurean? What's left to epicure to write now? Aha. I can still joke a bit, don't know why I'm writing this. I'm tired and lost. I will go through this, but wow. I've never been hurt like this in my entire life. Thanks for reading. Update 2. Hi everyone. I've been posting 2 to 3 times here, and I appreciated all the advice I've been given. Tonight I feel like writing to the community, to share, and it's also therapeutic. French person here. 37M betrayed by 35F. 2 kids, 3 to 6 years old. Divorce is ongoing. You can read my previous posts for more detail. I'm returning from holidays with my kids tomorrow, and I'm apprehending coming home, and having to see her face after 2 weeks, as we share for now, the same apartment. I should use the following for stand-up comedy. This week I had an absurd phone call with her about her cat. She left for the first week of holidays with our kids. I didn't want to be alone, and went to my parents, in Normandy. Our neighbor fed the cat while we were away. I managed with the neighbor when I left, but she didn't when she came back. I don't know her holiday schedule. She got woken up by the neighbor at 10 a.m., entering the apartment. Aha. This makes me smile. And somehow it's my fault. So she took advantage of this to blame shift again about the end of our marriage. Charm pity rage cycle is spot on. She has convinced herself that I'm spying on her phone. Rolling eyes, a friend of mine, who checks on me on a regular basis, told me she's your best therapist. And he is not wrong. I made progress, because I could hear all the blame shift, and it didn't guilt me. I was able to just reply, I know my wrongs in the relationship, I'm not sure you know yours, and anyway, it doesn't justify what you've put me through. When she insisted, I just hung up on her. But it made me think of all the things I did for her, and for us as a family. When we started dating, I was in a DIY punk band, touring Europe and mostly UK, and I had no money. Her parents are divorced. But on both sides pretty wealthy. She's Jewish. I am not. Raised Catholic, turned agnostic, I was never accepted by her parents because, middle class, punk rocker is not a career, not Jewish. But for 13 years, I sat at every Sabbath I could come to, every Pesach, every Hanukkah. I gave my children her name, and I also took her name, for various reasons. I agreed on circumcising my son, I took shit behind my back, she never had my back in front of them or when I wasn't here, but still I would show up. For her at first, and for the kids after. Oh, and when the kids came into our lives, they didn't like me standing my ground about education. On her mother's side, I felt judged all the time. The stepfather is a D-head. He judged and made me go into depression while I was reconverting into a sound engineer. I wasn't following what he told me to do. I spent 2 months working in the apartment we bought together, with my father, taking down walls, redesigning the place. Decorating. She has not put one picture frame on any wall. I always had attentions for her. Often I would buy some little things. Nothing big. I don't know, a cookie on the way home, a book I see she'd love. I would go, on Fridays, when I didn't work, to the next city's Jewish bakery to buy hallets, Sabbath bread, and Jewish traditional meals, so we could do Shabbats as a family. I never wanted to convert, I'm just very interested and curious about traditions, and religions, and when I did all those things, it felt normal. It felt like I did it without wanting things in return. I know what you might think. Codependency. I don't know. Is it what it was? I didn't feel codependent, as I kept playing in bands, far less since I have children, and having a life on my own. Too many red flags? I wanted to feel accepted by her family? That's for sure. It felt like I was these last 2 to 3 years. But deep down I know I would never have been accepted. I just felt in love for 13 years. Even through the ups and downs. So, tonight, I just wanted, not to vent, but to write down my story, for myself, for anyone who cares, and to not point out things that I did wrong, but more everything I did right. I try to focus on this. My mother told me while I was crying, "She doesn't deserve you." Hell no, she doesn't deserve me. Thanks for reading. Update 3, as the title says, I found a place to live. It has enough space for me and my kids. It's not near the schools, but it's manageable. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also torn. I have a few days ahead of me to pack things and get the F out of here. Moving next Sunday. It's heart-wrenching to pack. I cried uncontrollably 3 times today. No contact was damn hard as we've been living in the same apartment. We took turns, but we met. There has been one day where she had a sads, called me, said she's so sorry etc. She wasn't with AP anymore, aha. So I got to experience the false remorse, again. And then again 3 days after, she asked if she could hold me in her arms. She said if I want to fuck her for my own pleasure, I could. Can't even take care of myself, so that helped, WTF. It was so hard to walk out after hearing all of this. But I did, of course. I'm proud of myself for reaching out to friends and family, keeping my head fairly straight, with ups and downs of course. Staying away from alcohol and stuff. Taking care of my kids, even though that part is hard. I know how to take care of them, always had some time alone with them prior to that, but it's hard to do it knowing that is my new reality, and will be forever like this, while heartbroken, keeping my exercise and healthy eating routine. I've lost 17 kilograms, now I need to reinforce those butt cheeks, because I have lost weight fast. Listening to podcasts. I managed to watch Ted Lasso without her 2 days ago, and I spent 3 hours not thinking too much about all of this. But I'm struggling with the no contact. I know it's poison. Why the F do I keep, sometimes, talking to her? I had to call my cousin one night, after her sads. I was quite back in the bargaining stage, and I knew it and it didn't help. I asked him, dude, she's coming tonight. I need you to slap my face, to bring me back to reality, to keep me from talking to her. She's such a devil in disguise, quoting Elvis Presley. My mind cannot, still, process this. I just can't. I'm not there yet. Anyway. I'm moving, this will help. I'm overwhelmed by how much I have to do. Because I know she won't. Changing contracts for electricity, internet. I have to deal with my things with the new apartment, and the old one, while packing and taking care of the kids on the mornings and evenings next week. Update 4, hi everyone. Out of the blue, I just want to share my progress. I'm sorry I can't do short, as posting here is therapeutic. You can read my post history, but in the end, it's just a typical chump story. I'm not minimizing, it's just that I feel better about it. This sub has been of such great help. I'm very thankful to this community. I'm thankful for the people who take time to give advice, the people who reach on here to tell their story, so we don't feel alone in this. For the first time I posted here, I deleted my post. Because I wasn't ready to hear the truth. After D-Day 2, that changed. I'm roughly 6 months post D-Day 1, 4 months post D-Day 2, and my moral has improved so much. Day and night. I moved from the apartment we bought, she stayed. It was part of an agreement that suited me. I was very bitter about moving out, having been chumped and all. It was the best thing that could happen to me. After my second visit of apartments, I leave near Paris, France. I'm freelance, I was desperate. Shitty places too small or so expensive, no room for my kids. And then, I took a shot at another, not very convinced. I found exactly the right spot. It's a place to retreat, a place to heal. It's quiet, not so expensive, I have a decent room for my kids, they are happy. I'm starting to enjoy being the captain of my own ship. I cook whatever I want, I take time to cook proper meals most of the time, just cook myself a nice green curry, chicken and vegetables. My relationship with my kids has improved. I get to be the good cop for once. When I'm working, I don't feel guilty for not being at home, and I take time to grab a beer with my colleagues. I keep doing my exercising routine, and feeling good in my body for the first time in 20 years. We co-parent okay. I impose and respect my boundaries with her now. She called last week at 10:30 p.m. to talk about the kids. I politely told her to never call me at this hour unless an emergency, as I'm home, not thinking about her. I've had ups and downs, but I feel that the downs are less frequent. I don't think too much about the affair itself anymore. It pops sometimes. But it's very, very manageable. I've used every means of getting better. Took every advice. Therapy, friends, family, exercise, journaling, getting the feelings out, getting up in the mornings, going to work, focus, read the books, listen to the podcast. I talked a lot about it, openly, to anyone in my first, second and sometimes third circle who is interested in knowing the details of what happened. And they've all been very helpful. I'm still doing all of it, but now I also can spend time not talking about it. I'm starting to enjoy life again. Next step is getting back to playing music in a band. I'm off Xanax since 4 weeks, and I sleep very well. I'm not there yet, of course, but man do I feel relieved. Relieved that this light at the end of the tunnel, people talk about in this sub, is getting brighter and brighter. Relieved that the pain has deflated. I cracked open my head last week and ended up in the hospital. Nothing really serious. I just walked into a tow truck park, and wasn't looking up, haha. The pain was brutal. It bled a lot. And then people took care of me. They stitched me. I got home, cried a lot that day. Never felt so alone. The wound was fresh. Day after day it got better, and today it just itches. I know there will be a day when what happened these last few months will be a scar. Today it does itch very much. But when that day comes, I will look at it, and just be thankful to the people who got me through this. And proud of myself, stronger for it. I drove myself to the hospital and a nurse took care of me. This is what people do here, and what friends and family are for. Reach out. Thanks for reading. Update 5, hi everyone. I haven't posted in a while, and I wanted to share an update on my situation, and bring some positivity. In my last post, I was pointing how better I felt. Things improved more and more over time. Looking back at those dark times, it's crazy how well I feel now. I ran the half marathon of Paris and finished at 7 MNS earlier than expected. Lots of emotion that day. Thank you Cheater, got my social life back. Thank you Cheater, starting new music projects. Thank you Cheater, I don't have to deal with my in-laws and put on a happy face. Thank you Cheater, met a cool woman, independent, sane, mature. Still in the early stages but it feels great, only green flags so far. No drama, thank you Cheater. Therapy has been tremendously helpful. We don't really talk about the D-Day now. We're focusing on me. And it feels good to realize that it didn't define me. I haven't developed trust issues, thanks to therapy, and the people around me. Still no contact with the ex. Last time I saw her, was at my kid's first therapy session. I can see she's putting on a I'm okay mask. She cries every time I bring an issue regarding the divorce, though. She can't manage money, she has to actually work at her new job, and the boss is not her father-in-law. So the work schedule is heavier. She doesn't get to see much her children because of the hours at the office. I sure she still sees AP or other people, but I know her. She rogue sweep a lot. I'm not really interested in karma anymore, because I am so happy with my life now, that I don't give a SH, but I know it will backlash at some point. Just hope the kids won't be too affected when it happens. In 1 month I'll be officially divorced, and looking forward to it. I finally feel I'm out of the tunnel. No more crying over my old life or her. I don't miss her. I just cheating ex's life went downhill and my life has never been better. Feel sorry for my kids, because it's been hard on them. Anyway. Thanks for reading, and for anyone in the early stages of grief, shock and SHT storm, put on the work, take you time to grieve, feel everything. It will be okay. Now on to the next story. Story 2. Caught my girlfriend secretly getting back with her cheating ex-husband. Plotted my revenge and now she's moved out of state with nowhere to go. I, 39 male, met my ex-girlfriend, 35 female. I was married for almost 10 years. My ex-wife and I started off great, but toward the end of our relationship, we just couldn't get along. We didn't have any children or anything tying us together, so we mutually agreed that it would be best to call it. One of the things that drew me to my ex-girlfriend when we met was how we had similar experiences with our partners. She was cheated on by her ex-husband and baby daddy, so she left him. We bonded over our shared experiences, and given both of our pasts, I figured we would put a lot of effort into having a great relationship. I met her daughter and we were an unofficial family for the 3 years that we were together. I wanted to marry her and formally adopt her daughter so she would have my last name. Because of the custody arrangements she had with her ex, he was very much in the picture. She would argue with him all the time about pick-up and drop-off times. She would complain to me about how he was buying her a ton of fast food and spoiling her when they were together. We both thought it was some ploy to get her daughter to spend more time with him. I was used to her texting him all the time. They would have phone calls and video chats from time to time as well. As far as I was aware, everything they discussed was about childcare. She would never go to other places to make the phone calls. She would tell me about everything that happened with him anyway, so there wasn't much of a point to it. I thought we had a pretty open relationship in that respect. One day I noticed that she was stepping outside a lot to make the calls. My suspicions weren't raised immediately, but I did think it was weird. I would ask her about what he had to say when she came in, and she told me that he was giving her a hard time about dates and things like that. She was very vague with a lot of her answers. With their custody arrangements, they would alternate weekends that they would spend with their kid. So, every other weekend I would surprise my girlfriend with a fun date night or something like that. I knew that she wasn't happy with the custody arrangement, so anything I could do to help her was good in my eyes. One weekend I made plans to take her to a museum, then we would grab lunch and catch a movie after. I told her that we had plans, but I didn't tell her exactly what we were doing. I had already bought the tickets for everything because I just assumed everything would be fine. She went to drop her daughter off at her ex's house and I waited around for her to show up back home. Time kept going and she didn't show up. She knew that we had plans, and it was unlike her not to be on time for something. My mind went to the worst case scenario and I immediately started calling her to make sure she was okay. She didn't answer the phone and I was a little panicked. All I could do was wait to hear something back from her. About an hour after I had reached out, I got a response from her saying that she was going to be spending the day with her daughter and ex. I was really confused about that because I knew she couldn't stand her ex. Plus, it was his custody weekend and unless he invited her somewhere she had no right to be lingering around. I didn't want to push it and ask a lot of questions, so I just told her that I was worried and I casually asked what they were up to. She didn't respond to me until the end of the day. She told me that they went to a water park together since one just opened up near her ex. When she got home later that night, I asked her about her day to see how everything was. She told me that they all had a fun time and she was glad that her daughter was able to spend time with both of her parents. She told me that it all felt normal again. Normal for her changed when he cheated on her and she divorced him. I was getting a sense that she missed what they had as a family. I could understand that, but I was a little bit nervous. I loved my girlfriend and I didn't want to lose her. She apologized for missing my plans and promised to make it up to me. When she said that, I thought she was being a little cheeky about making it up to me in the bedroom. When I made a move on her, she turned me down. Our sex life wasn't the greatest on the planet before all of this, but after the weekend she spent with her ex, it was non-existent. For weeks, every time I would try to kiss her for more than a couple of seconds or do anything intimate with her she would come up with an excuse to get away from me. At the same time, she was spending more time with her ex. It felt wrong to complain about it because she was framing it in a way that she was doing it for her daughter. But after a while, I started to suspect that there was more to it. She came home late one night from dropping her daughter off at her ex's house and I noticed a mark on her shoulder. She was clearly trying to cover it up with her shirt. It could have been something from a curling iron or a bug bite, but I was already suspicious and the placement was adding to that. Later that night, I looked through her phone when she was asleep. I needed to know if there was something going on with her and her ex. Of course, my suspicions were immediately confirmed by their text messages. They were sending things like "I can't wait to see you this weekend. I miss you so much. I want you back," etc. I looked through their messages and saw that he apologized for cheating on her and subtly blamed her for the cheating. Instead of fighting back like she normally would have, she accepted what he had to say and took some of the blame. I thought it was kind of pathetic for her to do that. The weekend that he told her he was going to the water park, he invited her to his house for a discussion. According to the text messages after that, they slept together that night. From there everything escalated and they started seeing each other again. I was heartbroken and angry that she would lie to me and cheat on me like that. The thing about it is, if she wanted to try to rekindle something with him to have her family back together for her daughter's sake, I would have understood. I wouldn't have been happy with it, but if she had come to me from the beginning, I would have accepted it. But instead, she lied to my face and made me look like a fool. I wanted to get back at her in some way. I had been good to her and she completely betrayed my trust. I needed to show her that I wasn't someone who would be toyed around with like that. I played it cool and didn't say anything to her over the weekend. In fact, I tried to avoid her. After her daughter was back from her dad's house I decided I was going to pay him a visit. I didn't know what I had planned when I got there. All I knew was that I was angry and I needed to take it out on something. When I pulled up to his house, I noticed that there was an unfamiliar car in the driveway. It didn't belong to him and it wasn't my wife's. I didn't know who else he spent time with, but given his history, I couldn't help but wonder if it was another woman. I thought it would be really rich for my girlfriend to throw away everything we had to give this man a second chance only for him to continue cheating on her. I kind of hoped that would be the case actually. I looked inside the car before I walked to the door and I saw that there was a fuzzy pink steering wheel cover and made an assumption that it was a woman's car. I walked over to the windows and peeked inside to see him very cozy with another woman. They were in his living room watching a movie. She was sitting on his lap with her arms around his neck and they were kissing. I took a couple of pictures and drove away. I knew exactly what I was going to do to get back at my girlfriend then. I got home and waited for her daughter to fall asleep so she wouldn't have to hear anything I had to say. My girlfriend sat down next to me on the couch and I calmly told her that I expected her to be out of my house by the end of the week and I didn't want anything to do with her. She tried to play dumb like she didn't know what was going on, but I told her that I knew about everything. She made it out like I was the bad guy for going through her phone. At the end of our conversation, she told me that she never loved me anyway. She reminded me that her ex was the love of her life and they were going to get back together because he'd changed. That's what I pulled out the photos I'd taken of him with the other woman. She was shocked to see them. I told her that it didn't look like he changed as much as she thought. She was clearly angry about the pictures and she stormed out of the living room. I heard her yelling on the phone shortly after. She came to me a couple of days before she was supposed to be out and apologized, begging me to change my mind and let her stay. Apparently, she wasn't able to work things out with her ex. I told her that wasn't an option for me and she only had a few more days to leave. She tried to tell me that she had nowhere else to go and that she couldn't afford to be out on her own, but I just told her that wasn't my problem. She didn't have a job, she survived on spousal support from her ex, and if they couldn't work things out, I doubted she was welcome at his house. By the end of the week, all of her things were packed and she was on her way out. She was going to her grandmother's house a couple of states away. I can only imagine that a major custody battle took place after she left the state. That's typically not something a parent with a custody agreement is allowed to do without notice. Frankly, I don't really care. She's out of my life and all I want to do is move on from this nightmare.